Hi there, and welcome to another episode on the Let's Talk Wellness with Shal podcast. My name is Shalini. I'm a corporate tech professional and a certified wellness coach. The vision of this podcast is to empower you with knowledge on holistic wellness and self-care. Tune in to Let's Talk Wellness with Shal on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple to listen to more wellness topics. Today, I'm very excited to have a special guest, Jetty, join us. The topic for today is breaking free, food freedom, self-love, and living unapologetically. I'll do a quick, brief introduction of Jetty, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jetty. Jetty is a speaker, model, and a wellness advocate. As the CEO of Trujetty, she uses her personal stories of invisible illness, bulimia, Lyme disease, and depression to help women wake up from a life on autopilot and unapologetically go after their desires, rebelling against the perfectly curated influencer image. Complete with unattainable standards, she focuses on the real contradictions of life, like fashion over 50, beauty without the heavy edit, and having enough while still wanting more. Jetty is an IAWP health wellness coach, holds certifications in makeup artistry and image consulting, and has successfully completed 2 Ironmans. Welcome, Jetty.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, it's impressive. You have a lot of things going here, so we're going to try and break this down. We're going to first start with just your journey to wellness and how did this all begin? I know in my introduction, I just talked a bit about bulimia, Lyme disease, depression. I would love for you to just also break this down to the audience. What actually each of these mean, if they have not experienced it or if they've just heard it for the first time.
Okay, yeah. So my journey with bulimia, which is an eating disorder of purging and binge eating, started at 18. I had started actually dieting, low-calorie diets at 16. And when I look back, I already had body image issues at the age of 7. And I was looking totally normal, healthy kid, but I had already something in my head saying that I wasn't normal looking. And so at 18 started my bulimia, and in my 30s I kind of realized something was not okay. And at 40 I stopped the bulimia. I had therapy, of course, and here with a local health agency in Canada. And at 40, the bulimia stopped. I was still binge eating and having issues with food and black and white food list. Can get to that later. And at 50, I decided to go all in with intuitive eating. In the meantime, I have also been battling Lyme disease, which started in my early 40s. And I got diagnosed in 2017, official diagnosis, which was the best thing that could happen to me at that time, because then I knew what I was fighting against or battling with. And I had already done various therapies, and as well as Western medicine, as also naturopathic. And yeah, that really, 18, someone told me, I met her in LA then, and she told me, you have to do something with your life. I had already done different things, but kind of sharing my story. And so that's when I decided to go back to online school and do the IWP, health coaching, health and wellness, and that was really a turning point in my life. It was a very empowering school, meeting like-minded people and studying again. While I had the idea I couldn't do it, I did it, and I loved it. I loved studying something I was so interested in. Then I also did personal training course here in Canada, and I did a nutrition course. And yeah, that's how I started on the kind of the health and wellness journey and started my influencer creator career, modeling, speaking, everything.
Oh my gosh, I find that so, inspiring because for one, obviously you went through that whole journey yourself, right? But I also feel it takes a lot of courage to come out of that journey, but also inspire others around you and influence other lives as well. So I want to just get into maybe a double click. I know you talked about intuitive eating. What does that actually mean?
Intuitive eating means learning to trust your body with natural instincts. So when we are a baby, we cry when we're hungry and we just stop eating. And then we are influenced by the world to go on any diet. And we don't, I mean, how many diets are there? And so we kind of unlearn that habit, and we also learn about all sorts of foods are bad for you and healthy foods. And of course there are healthy foods and superfoods, and of course you need to eat a balanced diet. But when I was dieting and then binge eating, I was not healthy. I could not eat one cookie. I would eat a cookie and my mind would go, oh well, you're not perfect anymore, your day is already blown, so you might as well eat the whole bag, eat everything else that's bad. So intuitive eating is unlearning all those diet behaviors that I call diet culture, or that people call diet culture. And well, some of those rules are not bad for you. They can be. They made me be in a prison of rules, and yeah, that caused binge eating and also purging.
Okay. And then you talked about Lyme disease. So what were some triggers, or how did you even identify that you had it?
I actually had a bullseye rash in 2013, so that is, well, only 30% of people that are bitten by a tick have that. It was like a circle I had above my left breast that would be visible after like a shower. And I asked my husband, like, do you think this is like ringworm or so? We have a farm too, so that wouldn't be so weird. But he was like, no. And around that time, there was not much known about Lyme disease. I'd heard about it, and I thought, oh, that's a super vague disease. And then I turned out to have it, and I had I just started to have symptoms, insomnia, really bad stomach problems, really fatigued, brain fog. I couldn't exercise. I was very active. I did my Ironmans. I could not run anymore. I was just too exhausted. I had many symptoms. And well, the doctor thought first it was chronic fatigue syndrome. You go like diagnose after diagnose. I had the weirdest infections too. And the weirdest things would show up. And then I actually went to the Stanford Clinic in the meantime for chronic fatigue, which helped. I went to LA to a functional medicine doctor, and that was actually after I had the diagnosis. But yeah, Lyme disease can mimic really a lot of diseases. It can mimic MS, it can have really severe symptoms, and mine were, thankfully, I was able to live with it, but of course it wasn't normal, and maybe I'm also tough, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure you're tough. We'll get to the Iron Man part of it because I'm very interested to learn a bit about that as well.
Yeah.
And I know we touched on this in the bio as well about depression. Was that just a result of all of this happening, or was this before or after?
I think during my life, also during my teenage years, but then I didn't know what depression really was. I think just I think it was all connected. I think it's all connected, everything in your mind, body, spirits, it's all connected. I just had a general sense of not knowing who I was, what am I here for in life, what am I supposed to do? I did so many different things. I went to law school in Amsterdam. I grew up in the Netherlands. I dropped out because it was totally not my thing to do. And yeah, I had just a general sense of emptiness. And I must say both of my parents had PTSD, so that really impacted my childhood. Really, well, I was born in a dysfunctional family. And I can talk about all those things. I love to share that because I felt super alone and depressed, and I think it helps other people to feel more normal when they hear about all these things like bulimia, depression. I think that was really interconnected, yeah. And when I started really going after what I love doing, like now speaking about all these tough things that I don't regret having in my life. They're all a part of me. And I started to come more alive, and also with intuitive eating. It's all connected.
Yeah, no, I love when you say that because I feel like sometimes challenges come to us and they make us stronger, right? It's
Yeah,
like you're
yeah,
stronger
yeah,
than you think, right? You're braver than you can even believe, right? So I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like some of those moments actually redefine you or help you
yeah.
go into that self-discovery mode, right? I
Yes.
mean, to some of those
Yeah.
questions, which I think it's an eternal question, which is who am I or why am
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That takes
Yeah.
so much soul
Oh, yeah.
searching
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
constant journey, I feel,
It
right? I mean,
is.
you're
Yeah.
never done.
Yeah. No. And it can change too, right?
Yes.
You're allowed to change. And that's, I think, something society has, I always felt guilty about changing the course. And I think society has kind of that rule that you're not supposed to, you're not allowed
Yes.
to, but you are. And that's also in your soul journey. You're allowed to change. And yeah.
Exactly. So then, I mean, just going back to the food freedom part, right?
Yeah.
So was
Yeah.
this, did you just go through, the Western medicine to kind of get through all of this? Or was this a combination of some kind of a naturopathic, alternate holistic kind of wellness? Or was it a combination of multiple things? I'm just curious.
Combination of multiple things. When I had Lyme disease, I would, cut foods out, and because I thought or I heard you hear so many noise everywhere, right? You can't eat this, you can't eat that. So I did that, and at some point I was testing allergic to blueberries because my diet was so I only ate a few things and I was so scared of foods. At the same time, that also caused binge eating. While I was trying to be healthy and cutting out foods, I was also having binge episodes and then constantly, yeah, just being on diets and I think that made me feel sad and also depressed. Yeah, I mean, I need to like what I eat. Truthfully, there's now you can eat, like you can make every recipe healthy if you want, but sometimes I just want the donut, just the donut as it is. But I could never. I had this black and white thinking, all or nothing. And now with the intuitive eating, I learned more to kind of be in between. And at first it was eating a lot of my trigger foods that would normally trigger me. It also came with a little bit of weight gain, which was also what was always scary for me, a reason to not go that path. But I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm now kind of in the middle of my skinniest and my biggest, and it's normal for weight to go up, by season, it's totally normal. And I'm just so much more happy to be able to trust myself with foods and it does not control myself anymore. It would control my everyday life every minute. I was thinking about food or what food. I saw a food and I couldn't have it, or friends would ask me to go out for lunch and I'm like, okay, I have to eat a salad. I can't have a glass of wine. I can't. And then when I would do it, I would feel bad and my day would be ruined and the episode would continue at home. So yeah, my life was pretty much consumed around food and also how my body looked. It was always chasing after. I was never skinny enough, and if I was very skinny, I wasn't feeling it or seeing it myself.
Got it. So that's a perfect segue into, self-love, being unapologetic, and especially the more women I talk to, right? It's always about the body image. There is, being so self-conscious. And I would love, I mean, you talked about Iron Man. Obviously got into like modeling, modeling, over the age of 50, all of that. So what helped you, right? I mean, really make that transition or that switch? I'm sure there was something that just clicked, if you will.
Yeah, well, I must say that when I did my Ironmans, that was part of, having a race goal would help me. I thought having my body image, or I couldn't let myself go. It was always around that body image. And when I was 50, I was actually solo going to Paris in the south of France, and I saw the women eat everything and drink wine, and I was like, I want that. That's what I want. And they just seemed to enjoy food and have a glass of wine and not feel guilty about it, and also not having the urge, oh, I need to eat the whole pie or I need it all, because that's what I would have then. And then I hired a registered dietitian when I was back. I turned 50 in 2022, and yeah, that whole intuitive eating journey with her had a lot to do with body image too. And it turns out that body image is, we have it in so many places in our brain that it's very hard to have a good body image day. You know, when we look at ourselves and then we can be nice to, or I can be kind to myself, but then 5 minutes later something else is triggering, right? So it was really a gradual journey of like just also reading a lot about intuitive eating and just following those people on social media and not kind of cutting other influences off. And I had to force myself not to look in the mirror in a gym all the time. And I even now, I must say, I actually stopped going to the gym now because I do something different in movement. I think it's okay to change and to do something that you really enjoy. And sometimes that means going into different environments where different body types are acknowledged, you know. And I really had to also learn that we as people are supposed to look different, just like dogs look different. We are all supposed to look different. And I was always fighting against my genetics. I just have bigger bones and I'm more muscular. I have wider hips than some women, and some women are they're just like tall bean sticks, and that's how they are built, but we're all trying to look like that. And that just clicked then in that journey, that I cannot be chasing all the time something else, and just be accepting of my body shape and be happy with it, and also see the beauty in other women, you know, in every size. I can now see, well, it's not in a size, it's really an energy, you know. You are your energy and your all the love that you have within you, not just the size. Somebody can be as skinny and so pretty and kind of having a dull look in her eyes and not being happy. And I can see the beauty now. I see the beauty in women in every size. And also, yeah, that helped for my own too. And I must say, it's a very gradual journey. You cannot expect from one day to the other that you're 100% happy and loving of your body. No, there are parts of my body that I still don't like,
Right.
but I can live with it.
Yep.
And I can try to look as good as possible, or to feel good in, you know, take care of my body the way I want to take care of it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think the one thing first actually I want to tell you is obviously you don't look like, close to 53. So that's awesome. You've obviously, maintained yourself. And I feel, again, you mentioned about, finding that happiness because, I know we hear this all over in media, right? I mean, beauty is all shapes, all sizes, but I feel like it's even beyond that because to your point, it's energy. I mean, we're all connected and we're all unique. And I feel like that diversity and uniqueness is really what brings, humankind, if you will, together, because I feel like that's how we bring so many, unique things to the table. Because if we're all the same, I mean, clearly life would be too boring.
Yeah.
So I think
Absolutely.
we all just bring different strengths, different talents, different everything. And I feel a lot of women, right, are definitely stuck in that phase of just low self-esteem or low self-confidence. I mean, just as you talk about your story, if you had to give, I would say 3 pieces of advice maybe for somebody right now, any woman, who's listening and they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm too fat, I'm too skinny. I don't know, all kinds of things, right? The self-doubt that creeps in. What would be maybe just 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would tell them?
Yeah, I would really use the advantage of our online world. And a lot of people, almost everyone has something to heal that happened in childhood. So my number one thing is really go find a therapist or coach. Yeah, it can be life coach. psychologists. I personally always had more support from people that actually went through sort of the same things, that could really understand me, and then were like a life coach, or and then you have so many modalities that you can pick from. But that would really be my number one. Do you want to live happy? Go heal your past. We all have something or multiple things, and I would really, if you struggle with food, really work on that too, and go maybe in intuitive eating group, and I mean, there's so many different forms of intuitive eat. Like, in the end, you'll end up somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't need to eat a burger and fries every day, or ice cream, but I can eat it now without it having any meaning, or without feeling 10 pounds heavier, because that's the thing that the brain does. Oh, you're eating junk food, you're gaining 10 pounds, which is not possible in reality, but we think all those things. So I would really work with a professional for that, and trying to follow people that guide you on that. I mean, we have so many influences on social media, so you can also pick the good for you. Healing that relationship with food and your body can free up so many things in your life, and makes everything so much better, because life is really better if we're respecting ourselves and acknowledging ourselves, and not being consumed with that all the time anymore. So those would be my two things. And then number 3, take your life under the loop and look at the things that what do you, write it down, write it in a journal. I love journaling. 10 years ago I was super skeptical about it, but I write down everything, like dreams or triggers. But start small. Write something about, what is your life? What makes you feel good? What doesn't make you feel good? What is there something you can do about it, about the things that don't make you feel good? Or do you need a different mindset about it? For example, I don't like cooking and cleaning, but now I do it with love for my husband and boys if they're around, and instead of dragging your feet doing it. But that takes work, and that's why I say start with the number 1, with therapy, and if you heal your childhood wounds, traumas, life is just so much better. It is work, but it is so worth it. It's so worth it.
And is there, if you had to recommend a self-care routine or something that you do for yourself every day, what's worked for you?
Well, like I said, journaling. Buy a journal, and just, doesn't matter how you do it, you always do it right. You can never do it wrong, right? That's also a thing. You can never do it wrong. Start somewhere, you can never do it wrong. What really was working for me is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. You tap on different points of your face and you make statements, like affirmations. First, it is like an affirmation of, I don't feel good about this, or I don't like this, and then you starts to evolve in turning it around. I would advise to do it in a program or with a coach. But there's so many, talking with a person could be very helpful too. But that has been helpful for me. I was for years in a group, we would tap every morning, and now I do different meditations. I definitely believe, and I think that is different for everybody. For someone, it's a walk or a hike in the mountains. It can be on the beach. It can be with your earplugs in, listening to something. But I think really being able to focus on just one thing, because we're in this society focused on so many things, but really learning to focus on one thing and calm down. And maybe another thing is not watching the news, because that drives me nuts, and I'm not doing that much. When I do, it really throws me off. So I have trusted people that tell me when something is going on that I need to know. Otherwise, I do not do well with it. And I know that about myself. And when you know yourself, when you know something about yourself, or when I knew I had Lyme disease, I knew how to deal with it, right? Or for example, you're diagnosed with ADHD. That can be super helpful. That can be the changing point in your life. So yeah, it's very important to get to know yourself. And that's again comes back to therapy, healing your wounds, trauma.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. So I know we're like almost at the end of, kind of our
Quick.
episode here today. And I know that went too quickly because I
Yeah.
have a lot of questions for you. Like, I want to know more about Iron Man. Like, how did you get there? And I also want to know more about just modeling after 50. If someone is thinking, oh my God, I'm too old to do something, well, you define age, you define what is right for you, because I feel like each one of us go through a different journey and
Yeah.
phase in
Oh,
life, right? So
definitely.
you
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
know. Like today I may be passionate about something, but 5 years from now I may completely want to do something else,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so on that note, if there's one message, like a final message that you want to leave for women who may be just again doubting their abilities, what would that one, last kind of powerful message that you would want to leave?
Yeah. You're really never too old to start something new. I know of women that were 72 and started, a university degree, or you really are not. It can give so much fulfillment, and just take one step, like, but do it. Just do it, because usually it's our fear that is telling us that we can't do it. I thought I couldn't do an Ironman. Well, I had to prove it to myself that I could, and I could, and I mean, I did this, and I thought I couldn't even finish my health coaching school. And I didn't believe in myself, but I did do it. And I think you just need to decide that you are stronger than the fear, because the society is so, and I think not only now, I think forever, is so focused on fear, because if you have a lot of fear, you're not so powerful, right? When you go through your fear, then you take the power, you become more powerful. And it can be the littlest step, like going after your quirky hobby, or the weirdest thing that other people would judge you about. Again, don't fear that. Just do it. I think as a society we're too much focused on retiring, and when I'm retired I'm going to do that. No, you live now, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, 50s, 80s. Every day should be happy, and yeah, life changes as you get older. You should be happy and go after what lights you up all the time. And you should try new things, and it's okay to change too. Never forget that. If you don't want to do it anymore in 5 years, yeah, that's normal. That's okay. You're allowed to change.
Yep. Yeah, I love that message. So I think really to summarize that, I feel like the importance should be soul food, and the importance should be just enjoy the moment. Don't keep planning for something that's going to happen or may not happen. We don't know, right? So just do what you feel
Yeah,
now, and, just don't wait for the current kind of hustle culture we're all chasing and running after all the time, right? I feel it's so
yeah,
important to just pause, do it, and
yeah,
just don't let fear or anybody actually tell you
yeah,
that you're not
yeah,
good enough.
yeah, because that's what it is. It's other people and fear. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. I love it. I mean, Jetty, this was a lot of just powerful nuggets. And again, I'm so happy and inspired by you. I mean, I definitely hope to be that way when I'm 50 plus and still
Okay.
wanting to learn and wanting to do more things, because I think it's a constant journey and evolution, right? So that we all have to just have that mindset and just the growth
Yeah,
that we need
yeah.
to embrace. So thank you so much. And before we end the session, I would love for you to just share with the audience where they can reach out to you if anything from today resonated and they want to learn more, if they want to talk to you. Feel free to share any of your social media or website or any information.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed our talk, and you're a very inspirational woman too. And thank you for sharing your platform with me. People can find me on my Instagram page. I'm on multiple social media channels, but Instagram is the easiest. My handle name is Trujetty, Trujetty. Yeti speaks her truth. And yeah, you can always DM me any questions. I'm listening, I'm here. If you want to know more or need help with anything, I can redirect you to people that can help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And before we end, I have to say that you are my 4th international guest speaker. So I am super excited and I really appreciate your time today.